Our first guest tonight is a very funny comedian and the Emmy-nominated co-creator and star of Big Mouth. The fourth season is streaming now on Netflix. Let's take a look.
What the hell are you?
I'm Tito, the anxiety mosquito.
Anxiety mosquito?
I'm
Ow!
sorry, people hate it when I do that. People hate it when I do everything. But do I stop? You killed me. I get it. I'm the worst, but so are you.
I know. Andrew hates me.
And so does Seth. They're probably making fun of you right now.
You think so?
Here's what they're definitely saying. Nick is a whiny little baby. Let's jerk off on his pillow.
No, please stop saying this stuff.
You're gonna have the worst summer. Everyone's gonna hate you.
Please welcome back to the show our very good friend Nick Kroll. Hello, Nick. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing, Seth?
I'm doing great, but probably not as good as you're doing. Recently married. Congratulations, buddy.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry that you were not invited.
Well, I don't know if we had to focus on that, but all right.
It was probably the best part of the wedding was the fact that it was like, I mean, nobody was there. It was just me and my wife Lily on a cliff in Big Sur. But what really brought me comfort was that I knew that you were not going to be there,
It was a beautiful photo, and I will admit it must be nice to not have the pressure of deciding who to invite to your wedding.
It was. It really was. I mean, it was pandemic related, obviously, because of COVID, but it definitely made the guest list easier by saying no one could be there. Yeah, because as you know, sometimes people give funny speeches at weddings.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And they can get a little close to the bone. I would imagine that had you had your wedding with guests, your friend and co-creator of this show, Big Mouth, Andrew Goldberg, would have been there. You guys have known each other so long. Part of this season, as we saw from the clip, takes place at summer camp. You guys were in summer camp together, and there you are rocking out.
Yes. Yeah, that's a quality picture of me and Andrew. I've known Andrew Goldberg since we were 6 years old, and we became best friends in middle school, and he joined me at camp. And so the beginning of this season of Big Mouth takes place at summer camp, and that picture is from, we did a lip sync to all of Queen's song, Don't Stop Me Now. And we were all wearing spandex. Some of us had jock straps on, some of us had teddy bears taped to our crotches. We won, and the thing was, we would do this lip sync competition, and whoever won that lip sync competition would then perform at visiting day. And we won, but I think the powers that be decided it was not the best song for the parents to see a bunch of pubescent boys singing Freddie Mercury.
When you look at old photos like this, whenever I look at old photos of myself, all I think is like, remember when thin was easy?
Yes, I had the same thought. I was like, look at tiny jacked me. Like, what happened?
Hey, I'm one of the things I've always taken with this show is, it's this very honest assessment of everything kids go through in puberty, and I'm reminded of it as more than I remembered it. I'm like, oh, like the trauma comes back, and it must be helpful that you and Andrew went through it together. But also, I'm very impressed by this. You actually, you talk to like teens from today, which must be a very important part of the process.
Yeah, we talk to sex educators and sociologists and people who write about this stuff, and then through that we've ended up talking to like teens and stuff who are in like sex education programs, and anecdotally I'll talk to kids who watch the show and dig into it, and it really led us to the theme of season 4 of the show, which is all about anxiety. And I think kids today are feeling heightened levels of anxiety. More so, I think we all felt anxiety growing up, but then now because of social media and phones in their pockets and screens constantly, it's just this never-ending onslaught. And I think it's caused not only kids but adults to feel more anxious these days. But we really try to talk to kids and get a sense from them what they're going through. And anxiety and anxiousness is top of the list for kids. And we started writing this, almost 2 years ago, not realizing that there was going to be a global pandemic. We thought there was just going to be, a presidential election. Little did we know that not only would there be a global pandemic, but we'd have a president who refuses to concede his loss.
I'm very taken with the amount of parents I have, friends, I should say, that are parents who have kids who are in their teens and they watch this as a family because, obviously it's super funny. It can be really blue at times, but I think that as parents, they really respect the fact that it takes all this stuff seriously and doesn't dismiss any of it. And I think for them, it's a tool to talk about the things that a lot of parents don't know how to cross that threshold into making them topics of conversation. Do you get that feedback as well from parents?
Yeah, I didn't, when we started making the show, it was like, oh, well, let's make a show that would make us laugh and people like Seth, who we won't eventually invite to our weddings, we wanted, but it really was. And then I came home, I went to like my nephew's bar mitzvah after season 1 came out, and my nephew Jacoby and his friends were like, oh my God, we watched the show. And then I saw their parents, who were like my brother and his friends, and they were like, thank you for having the show so that we don't have to talk to them about these subjects, or it gives us, as you said, a platform to talk about it. So we're very conscious of what messages we're putting out there, while simultaneously trying not to pull any punches and make the show soft. I mean, in the first couple episodes, Andrew is at camp and he won't go to the bathroom, and so he's got this impacted poop that is just growing inside of him. We decided to vocalize that. So we have Paul Giamatti as Andrew's impacted poop. So we're really going highs and lows. It's highbrow, lowbrow.
I've always thought that John Adams was the impacted poop of presidents. So it would make sense you get Giamatti.
Of course. I think that's a very fair analogy.
You were called the Picasso of puberty by the New York Times this year, which just must be like a tremendous outcome to when you first started doing this show, because that really, I think, also speaks to the highbrow, lowbrow nature of it.
And truly, like, Picasso is like my favorite artist, and I am my favorite comedian. So it all really worked out. No, it was a very funny thing to be called the Picasso of puberty. It was hilarious, and it's like, whatever success I've had has been lovely, but when you're in the New York Times, like to my parents and my parents' friends, that's like the sign that you have made it. Little did they know that the article would then like talk about like me talking to a writer's room about my childhood small penis and putting my penis in a prison. And so, again, highs and lows, and lows.
I feel like I would imagine your parents had that history with you through your whole life, which is your successes often came like sort of tied to a thing they were like proud to tell their friends and then ashamed to show it to them.
Right, exactly. It's like, yeah, they would come, and I used to host a show with Jesse Klein, who voices Jesse on the show, and they had to come to that show early on, and we would be talking about having sex and all this, and having terrible sex and stuff, and they would have to be like, I guess I'm here to support my son. It just, like, I picture your parents coming to like Boom Chicago and seeing you do something awful to a bunch of drunk, stoned Dutch people and being like, I guess we're proud of our son making money doing the thing he likes.
Yeah, I think most of their takeaways, certainly my dad's, was it would have been a little funnier if he was doing it. I think that was what.
Yes, totally.
Hey, buddy, it is absolutely a pleasure to have you here, but it was even more of a pleasure to have you at my wedding. That meant a lot.
Well, I have to say it's a pleasure being on your show always, and I had so much fun. I really did have such a blast at your wedding. Thank you for paying for me to be there, and I'm so deeply sorry that I was not able to invite you to mine. Very purposely. But I will say, if I did invite people to your wedding, I would invite your next guest, Jeremy O'Harris, to the wedding, because I think he's so funny and so talented. And if you haven't seen his coronavirus mixtape on Instagram, I highly recommend watching them. It's where I understand the internet better every day. And I actually have some extra tickets to Slave Play. If you want to buy them from me, I can give you a very good deal on them if you're interested in that. Let me know.
That's very kind of you. I really appreciate it. Congratulations again. It's really awesome to see you all the time.
Thanks, Seth. I appreciate it, buddy.